All right, well, welcome to the CCNP Roundtable discussion. My name is Tim Warner, and I'm a media editor with Pearson IT Certification and CiscoPress.com. Our agenda for this discussion is the following. We're going to introduce our subject matter experts and our authors. We're going to talk about the new CCNP track that Cisco published in January 2010. You're going to gain some new avenues of approach for your certification study success. Test-taking tips, etc. Of course, not going beyond the bounds of our non-disclosure agreement, but we'll give you a good head start on that. And then finally, we'll learn how our products at Cisco Press can benefit you both as an active CCNP candidate and as a working Cisco networking professional. With me, we have what at Cisco Press editorial we call the Three Amigos. I hope you guys don't mind that moniker.
We don't have hats yet.
Yeah, exactly, right. We have Wendell Odom, David Hucaby, and Kevin Wallace. So let's take a closer look at each one of these guys and get to know them a little bit better. Wendell, CCIE, Cisco Certified Networking Engineer, 1624, been in the industry since 1981. First of all, what stands out to me is that CCIE number is pretty low, isn't it? So you must have been in the first, couple years anyway of the CCIE program?
Yeah, it's probably about the year-and-a-half mark of CCIE.
Wow, very cool. Any of you guys know about how many CCIEs there are nowadays?
Cisco actually publishes current number of CCIEs, numbers added and removed each month. If you search around for it on their website, you can see it. But I'm guessing it's 21-ish thousand.
Mm-hmm.
You guys looked recently, Kevin, Dave?
Yeah, I think the top numbers, students getting their CCAs right now, they're getting close to somewhere around the 26,000 mark. But like you said, Wendell, a lot of people, theirs have retired, expired. Yeah, last I heard it was somewhere around the 20,000-ish mark.
Wendell is working as an engineer, consultant, systems engineer, and course developer, a man of many hats, and writes a regular blog at networkworld.com. And I've been looking at your articles of late. It seems like you've been focusing appropriately enough on these new CCNP exams. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, a lot of people are interested right now with the changes, and I'll be starting up talking about lab gear for the new CCNP starting with next week's blog post. So by the time this is posted, I'm sure a few of those posts will be up.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Point your RSS feed reader to his blog. Dave Hucaby, CCIE 4594, currently a network engineer for the University of Kentucky. To our viewers, I apologize for the overlap you see between the video window and the PowerPoint slide. I'm sure you'd rather look at these guys' faces than see partially occluded text. I don't know. But David was one of the, and as you see what's blocked, one of the beta reviewers for the PIX Firewall operating system. Let me move this. PIX version 7 firewall operating system software. So that's interesting. So you're working with Cisco gear at least 40 hours a week then, right, Dave?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've got more than a full-time network engineer or architect job at the university, and then I write on the side in spare time. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for sleeping and things like that.
Indeed, but we tech people enjoy that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
And then we have Kevin Wallace. Again, let me do the right thing and move the video over here. CCIE 7945, certified Cisco instructor with a whole bevy of credentials. Are there any Cisco credentials that you don't have? Is this list outdated?
No. I'm actually working actively right now on a second CCIE. I'm working on my CCIE voice. That's scheduled for May, so hopefully I'll be able to update that list soon.
And as you see, his experience goes back to '89, network design specialist for the Walt Disney World Resort. Kevin and I were talking about this before we started this screencast, and that's, again, got to be a very interesting gig to have, to see the underbelly, as it were, of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, they've got an interesting tunnel system underneath the Magic Kingdom. That's where they store their Cisco gear, a lot of it anyway. Over 500 routers, believe it or not. Over 500 routers on the Walt Disney World property, all of them Cisco, thousands of Catalyst switches, so that was just a tremendous real-world experience.
No doubt. And you're teaching for Skillsoft, doing all sorts of stuff, CCN, the associate and professional level courses, correct?
Correct. Mainly teaching the voice track. I teach all the CCVP courses. A few of the intro-level courses. I get into IC&D 1 occasionally, but primarily focusing on voice right now.
Good. All right, well, let's move on to the meat of our discussion. First question that I have for you guys is, how valuable is CCNP, especially with a tight economy, budgets not being what they were in the past few years, and then individuals wondering and wanting to get the maximum bang for their buck as they're studying. First question I have, and the first man who wants to take this is fine. In your experience, are hiring managers, HR folks, caring or putting emphasis on CCNP today?
Well, I'll take a stab at that. From what I've seen with a lot of the job ads out there, you'll see verbiage something like CCNP required, CCIE preferred. And the way I interpret that is companies out there, they want somebody to come in that's going to be able to handle everything. Routing and switching related, whether they just know how to do it off the top of their head, whether they can learn how to do it, whether they can talk intelligently with Cisco TAC. They want to be able to get somebody in to handle whatever their network needs might be. And they might prefer somebody at the CCIE level, but just economic realities, like you mentioned, maybe they're not able to afford that. I was doing a thing for my daughter's school, kind of a career day not long ago, and I was researching what are CCIE salaries in this area of the country, and actually Dave and Wendell and I think we all live within about a 100-mile radius of one another, and CCIE average salary levels come in at about $123K a year. So a lot of companies, they might not be able to pay that level of salary for a CCIE, but they still want somebody that can handle everything. So yeah, I think CCNP carries a lot of weight today.
Dave, Wendell, and anything to add?
Yeah, I can pipe up. This is Wendell. I think I can give some anecdotal evidence from blog readers and students, like I know that Kevin sees even more of than I do, is that when you compare, say, CCNA to CCNP folks, you go from CCNAs who, in their current jobs, the networking part's often a slice of a much bigger job, whereas once you're CCNP, those jobs tend to be a lot more networking-centric. It takes you from the IT generalist to the networking specialist, if you will. And there's a big need for the networking specialist, somebody, as Kevin was alluding to, about that can come in and be the guy and take over and somebody to rely on when things get tough. So there's definitely a need for it.
And Dave, you're in the field, and I'm sure you have colleagues, folks who report to you and so on. At your university, let's get specific, how much is CCNP certification valued?
I think that's been growing over time. We have several CCIEs at the university now, and we have, when we go through a round of hiring for new positions, we get plenty of CCNA people. And what we found is generally CCNA people lack enough hands-on experience to hit the ground running and be able to jump in and carry the load. So I think the value of CCNP is definitely growing, and I think it'll continue to grow.
Take up this notion of paper tiger syndrome in just a moment, because I want to, of course, get to the CCNP tracks that were announced in, if memory serves, the third week of January. What you're seeing on the slide right now is an extract from Cisco.com's certification and learning pages that summarizes what's going on with the old and the new tracks. So we have the 642-901 BSCI, or routing exam, being supplanted after July 31st, 2010 by the new 642-902 route, implementing Cisco IP routing. On the switching side of the equation, 642.812, the BCM-SN, last data test, the end of July, that's supplanted by 642.813 switch. Now, both route and switch are active live exams today. Any of you guys know anybody, students, colleagues, who have sat for either the route or the switch exams?
I haven't.
Not yet?
I don't know anybody.
None of my students have done that.
Yeah. And speaking of new, as you see, the T-shoot, there's no direct analog to the ONT exam in the old track. And it looks like as of this recording, see March 25th, we just have one more day of beta for the T-shoot, the 643-832 exam, before that goes live on the 30th. What comments do you guys have? Maybe we can start with Kevin, regarding the evolution of the previous version of the CCNP track to what it is today. What do you think Cisco was thinking when they made these changes?